Hello, my friend. Welcome to this part in the series on leadership. You know, the Indians have a very powerful saying or story, which I learned a lot of lessons from. And today I'm going to share that with you. It's about the eagle. The eagle. You know, the eagle is a very powerful bird. In fact, one of the most powerful birds. It is on Ghana's coat of arms. It is also, I think, on Nigeria's coat of arms as well. That is how come the national team of Nigeria is called the Super Eagles. Now, what is it about the eagle that you need to learn from so that you can fashion out your leadership for 2025? Now, it is said that most eagles live to be 40 years because they are so powerful. 40 years. But when the average eagle is 40 years, it goes through something. Now, at 40 years, the eagle has three things that make the eagle the eagle. The three distinctive characteristics of the eagle are all weak, old, burned out, worn out, and not fit for purpose. What are these three things? One is the beak. The eagle's beak at 40 is bent, so it can no longer hit things. It can no longer pick things. It has been used severally over a lifespan of 40 years, such that it is no longer as effective and efficient as it used to be or ought to be. The second thing is the feathers. The feathers are heavy. It cannot allow the eagle to fly as high and as fast as it ought to be because of years of use. The third one is the talons. The eagle's talons are weak, bent, worn out, and can no longer allow it to lift things from the ground as it ought to be. And so at 40, the three things that give the eagle its superior performance, its distinctive competency, and its unique selling proposition are all old, worn out, ineffective, and not fit for purpose. These are the beak, the feathers, and the talons. And so a lot of eagles will have to make a life-determining decision, which is, do I die at 40 or I make a move and renew myself for the foreseeable future? And so what most eagles do is that they give up. They will say that, oh, I've done some. I mean, I've lived to be 40 years. I have chewed a lot of fowls and goats and cows, and so I am okay. Let me just give up and die. But they forget that they can renew themselves by going through personal transformation. And so the few transformational eagles, what they decide to do is that they decide to renew themselves. They decide to go through a painful process of transformation. Now, what do? They will fly to the highest mountain where they know no other eagle can reach them. And then they will proceed to take off their feathers. They will proceed to take off their beak, and then they will proceed to take off the talons. And so the eagle takes itself through this painful process of knocking their beak, their talons, and their feathers on this hard rock until they all come off. And so in this state, the eagle is naked, vulnerable, and can't do anything. And the eagle will lie in this state for 150 days until it grows new feathers, new beak, and new talons. And then the legend is that the eagle will now take off and a new birth of a new flight of rebirth. It will take off again. Now, the history is that by going through this painful process of rebirth, the eagle gives itself another 30 years. And so what we oftentimes fail to recognize is that good is the enemy of great. 30 years or 40 years is the enemy of 70 years. And so in your life and in your work, ask yourself, have I given up at 40? Because I don't want to go through the painful process of rebirth. The painful process of having to relearn, having to unlearn, or having to upskill, or having to upgrade, or having to take on a new challenge. Maybe you are refusing posting to another city because you find it as a demotion or an uncomfortable experience, and because of that you are not growing, you are not being promoted. Maybe you are resisting moving to another country because you will find it very uncomfortable, or even in another industry. Maybe you have been in HR, but you have been in HR in the education field. Why don't you move to the brewery field, or to the fast-moving consumer goods field, or to the healthcare field, so that you can practice your HR in another industry? Now, by doing that, you give yourself a new lease of life. And that is when you become truly great. And so next time you are refusing to go through a painful process, a painful life experience, ask yourself, am I like some eagles? Have I given up on life at 40 years? And what does that mean for the potential 30 years that I could have if only I can renew myself? So in 2025, this year, if you want to be a great transformational leader, my challenge to you is to shed off old feathers, old beaks, and old talons that are no longer serving you, and grow new ones, new skills, new competencies, new attitudes that are going to give you a new lease of life professionally, personally, emotionally, psychologically, and mentally. And if you can do that, then my friend, you take off on a flight of rebirth that will count you amongst the greatest of all time.